What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Against All Odds podcast. Today, I have my son, Ciaran Winters. Ciaran, do you want to just say, I've already said, but do you want to say your full name, how old you are, and where you're from?
My full name is Anthony Ciaran Winters. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm 19 years old.
Why do you go by Ciaran instead of Anthony?
Every firstborn male in our family is Anthony. So my dad is obviously Anthony, and he wanted me to be a little different, so go by Ciaran.
So are you Anthony the fourth, fifth?
I'm like Anthony, like the 14th,
That's pretty
something
cool.
like that.
I would for sure go by I am Anthony Winters the 14th. I think that sounds
I wish
really cool.
I went by Tony. Tony is a cooler name than Ciaran.
All right. Well, we'll roll the intro and then we'll get started. Okay, so Ciaran, you are like the local poster child for FC Tulsa. So you're born in Tulsa, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to say like where exactly you were born and then about your family, like brothers, sisters, and stuff like that?
Yeah. Okay. So I was born in Jinx, Oklahoma. So like South Tulsa, really. I have 3 sisters, 1 older, 2 younger sisters. Yeah, I grew up going to Jinx High School.
And then your mom and dad, are they from Tulsa or are they?
No. My mom is from Beaver, Oklahoma, which is like 5 hours west in the panhandle of Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she was like very country raised, like cowboys, had farm animals, all that. And then my dad is from Liverpool, England.
Yeah.
So kind of like 2 completely different worlds colliding.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And he's a big Everton fan, right?
Oh my God, the biggest Everton fan besides me. You know?
Yeah, Ciaran's license plate of his car just says Everton.
Yep. Yeah.
That's been a good year for Everton.
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been better. Yeah.
Better.
We started really well, and then but tailored off.
Yeah. And then so why did your dad end up in Tulsa? And how did he meet your mom in Beaver, Oklahoma?
Okay, so my dad, when he was like 22, decided to just come to the United States and like basically party and like just tour the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So he was running soccer camps because my dad played soccer.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing or running soccer camps, and then someone from ORU, the college here, scouted him, saw he was like playing well in these camps, and wanted him to come play for ORU. And so he came to ORU for the first year, played, and then decided he didn't do any school. He said he just pissed off all the classes and just left. And so after the first year, he's like, I'm done. I don't want to do school. It's not what I came here to do. And then, but everyone, they'd give him a full ride. So all of his family members convinced him to come back for another year. And they ended up staying for the next 3 and met my mom. My mom was going to ORU at the time also.
Okay, that makes sense. And then did your mom grow up on a full like real farm, like growing like?
Yeah, so my granddad, my granddad had cattle and horses and all that, all the whole 9 yards when it goes to that. So yeah, she did.
What's your dad think of because like Tulsa, Oklahoma is very different than England.
Oh yeah.
And he obviously chose to stay here.
Yep.
What's his thoughts on Tulsa compared to England and especially being from Liverpool and all that?
He loves Tulsa. Yeah. Like he'd much rather live here than in England. He says the sun is the biggest part of that decision.
Yeah, so that makes sense. All right, so you have 3 sisters. Did they all play soccer as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad played actually for the Tulsa Roughnecks back not in the 70s, but in the 90s, I think. I might be wrong, but he played for him and was their captain for 3 or 4 years after he graduated from ORU. And then, but so he, right as like all of me and my siblings were born, straight into soccer. So yeah, my older sister played, we all played. And then, but I was the only one that kind of stuck with it. They all kind of quit.
Did he have like, did your parents have like your oldest sister when he was still playing?
Yeah, it was, he was playing for 1 or 2 years, and then he retired when I was born.
Do you have any clips of like him playing for the Roughnecks?
No.
None?
I have nothing, except all I have is some like his vintage jerseys. I have those, and then his captain armband and like some sweatbands. and pictures, but no video.
Yeah, because I mean, you're like literally the only legacy of Tulsa Roughnecks probably ever.
Yeah,
That's
no,
pretty
there
cool.
was he has the Roughnecks played indoor,
Hmm.
and there's video of indoor, but that's it. No outdoor.
What position did you play?
He played center back.
Center back.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, I'm not going to be a defender.
Well, he played center back like he was a top goal scorer for Roughnecks.
Really?
Yeah. He would just go forward and drive with the ball, scored lots of headers. So
That's pretty good. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
insane that you ended up playing for not the
Yeah.
Roughnecks, but the organization.
Same, yeah, almost the same team.
Yeah.
It would have been one more year if it stuck out. I would have played
Mhm.
for the Roughnecks.
Are you
but-
kind of bummed about that we still
almost a little bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
It would
can
have
see
been
that.
cool, but
all right. So then your dad obviously when you guys were growing up it was just all football, like just
Yeah.
playing. Did you play any other sports?
yeah, I played all the other sports. I
Yeah.
played baseball when I was really little. That was way too boring for me.
Mm-hmm.
I played basketball, but the biggest one, I played American football.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that for 3 years. And I was really good at it and I loved it, but I got to a point I was playing running back, so I was getting hit and hit and hit. And then I'd have to go and play soccer after it, and my body was just feeling it, so I had
Mhm.
to quit.
And this is all just in Jenks, right? You never really moved
Mm-mm.
during the early childhood.
Nope.
Just all Jenks, Oklahoma.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So then now like growing up younger age, did your dad do any extra training with you like
Oh,
at the
yeah.
field or like somewhere doing
Yep.
did you guys do drills or was just playing? Like,
No,
what
we-
did
we
that
would-
look like?
We did drills. My dad, he coaches still now. He's a great coach. And so he would wake us up
What's
at
your dad's name?
Tony.
Tony. Oh, of course, Anthony.
Yeah.
Duh, you already talked about that. Sorry.
No, it's all right. But he would wake us up during the summer at 6 a.m. to go and train
hmm
at one of the field. Remember the Metro field that we went
Yeah.
to? We would train there.
Wow.
And so we would wake up 6 a.m. My sisters hated it. I loved it. But so we would train for like an hour and a half. Just like he would focus on like one of us at a time, working on like something with my older sister, like first touch or something. And then me, I would work on heading or something like that. And then we would do drills all together.
That's pretty good setup.
Yeah.
And when did that start? Like just as soon as you guys were
Once my youngest sister was like 7 or 8,
Mhm.
and so my middle sister would have been like around 10. I would have been like 12, and my older sister would have been like 14 or 15.
how like I know it's always different depending on the full year and like, everything, but how like often did you say you went out per week to just go with your dad and your sisters to train?
Probably at least twice a week.
Uh-huh.
More than that.
6 a.m. every time? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he always had work. So
Dang. So did you ever feel you said you loved it, but did you ever like feel like you're getting burned out or did you like
I
just
don't know.
not at
You
all?
have infinite energy when you're young.
Yeah. Some people I feel like some people like my sister was kind of like that where it's like she was getting burned out a little bit with just the training.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always infinite energy.
Yeah. No, some days my sisters wouldn't go because
Mhm.
like my older sister did swimming. My other sisters just played Barbies or something. They didn't want to go
Played
all the
Barbies.
time. But so a lot of it was just me and my dad.
Uh-huh.
But
And then what age were you just 100% soccer?
like 100% was 8th grade. So
Uh-huh.
I would have been like 12 or 13, something
Mhm.
like that.
Okay. And then what was your first club team in Oklahoma, like in Tulsa?
It was Hurricane. So there's the club here that is now is TSE Hurricane,
Mm-hmm.
but they used to be two different clubs. And so my dad coached at Hurricane, and that was my first club besides like rec when you're little, you
Yeah.
know. But like that was my first club, and my dad coached me, and we were really good. And then TSE Hurricane combined into one club,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was my only other club was TSE Hurricane.
Okay. And did you just start playing like the club like year-round soccer at like age 11, age 10?
Yep, right as you can do competitive was my first year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So it's pretty typical. Like with the American, as soon as you turn like 10, 11, you just join the competitive club and everything. Were you still at that age 11 still doing extra training with your dad, or did you do any like pickup or like indoor soccer around Soccer City or anything?
Yeah, we did indoor, but you had to pay to do indoor.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you couldn't just like show up at indoor and like play really.
Yeah.
So the only like extra that I would do that wasn't with my dad was like in my front yard juggling the ball or something.
And did you, at this age was like, did you just want to be a professional soccer player? Or did you have something else in mind?
No, ever since I was like 4 or 5 years old, my parents said that I've just wanted to be pro. Like that was the only thing that was on my mind. So
that's pretty cool. How were your grades as a kid, like during that age, like 10, 11, 12?
They were fine. Like I didn't apply myself very much, but like I could get by with like C's and B's and like an occasional A without really trying.
Yeah.
But I just didn't care that much.
Did your parents, when you were like all soccer, want to be pro, were they like encouraging that, or was it like no, be realistic?
My parents were behind it 100%.
That's good. That's really cool.
Yeah. No, my mom was like, because I also was like, when I was from like 12 up until now, I was like, I'm not gonna go to college. I just want to go straight pro. And my mom was always like, well, keep it on the table, you know. And my dad was like, if that's what you want to do, like do it. So
yeah, it's funny that that's how it ended up going. Like, I mean, we'll get into it, but like you're 19, right? 20?
19.
When do you turn 20?
End of May.
End of May. It's coming up.
I know.
Gotta get a present.
A present?
I gotta get a present for you.
No.
I gotta think about it. Maybe like the dangly like cross earring or something for you.
I need to get my ears pierced first. Man, I was about to get my ears pierced.
Yeah, so then you're gonna be 20. But you started, like, I know we're jumping ahead, but you started training with us, with the Roughnecks at like 18, right?
18. Yeah, I almost just turned 18, and then when I started training with you guys.
Yeah. All right, so let's going backwards now. When you're around joining your first club team, were you guys just training like twice a week, like typical, like Tuesday, Thursdays, and then games on the weekend?
Yep.
And you're still training with your dad in the mornings, maybe doing a little bit of extra juggling or something in the front yard. Anything else other than that, or?
I would try and get my sisters to come out and play. They would sometimes, or I would play a game with myself called Kirby. Yeah, Kirby. So you can play it on any street that has a curb.
Oh, Kirby.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I'll stay on one side of the yard and chip the ball and try and hit the curb, just the curb, and it'll bounce back. And so that's the game I would play. I would just try and hit it, and you can play against someone. So I'd play against my dad.
So you would try to chip it right directly onto the curb?
Yeah, without touching the ground or anything. And if it hits perfectly, it'll shoot right back to you. So that would be 1 point.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That was the game that you invented by yourself?
No, my dad that's my dad.
Oh, that's
he
your
said
dad's
he
game?
played that in England. So
yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty funny. I've never played that before. I was thinking that you'd be more of like like you pass the ball hard against the curb and it like would bounce up to you and you would try to trap it or something.
I've done that also, but Kirby's actually difficult.
Yeah, no, it sounds more difficult than it sounds.
Yeah.
I messed up talking about that. It probably is a lot more harder. Whenever it's funny because you look at those videos like, oh, I'm gonna get this ball in the trash can or something, and then you go out and actually try it.
It's difficult.
Like, dang, this is hard. And then you guys with this TSC Hurricanes, was that group like, was there a lot of players that went on to become like college players, pro players, or is it kind of just?
There was, so the Hurricane team, we were really, really good. We had, I think 3 ended up playing in college, and then I think 3 ended up playing in college, and then when we combined that team, I think a couple more went, and then I moved to the higher team. So I was on the A team, and then a really, really talented Hispanic team came to our club, and they could beat us. And so me and 3 other players from the other team joined them, and then from then on, that was my team. And so, but from that team, there was 4 or 5, and it should have been the whole team.
Yeah, we
were so dang good.
That's that. Did with your club team, like, were your coaches, did I know you're younger, but like for me, I always felt like with my club teams, like for example, for my club team, I think I'm the only one who's still playing, like still even made it to the pro level.
Yeah.
And I just would see so many like bad like training and like bad, like we go out there to the field and be like the typical like just running without the ball. How was like your development with the team? Like, did you have good training sessions? Do you do good drills? Like,
we had a great coach. So my dad coached me up until I was like 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He was obviously great. Then I had a coach, I'm not going to say any names, but who wasn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot more fitness
Mm-hmm.
than anything else. And we were fit, but like we were lacking in certain areas. And then changed coaches again, and he was a really good coach. And so
Mm-hmm.
we did technical, shooting, everything, good passing drills. But he was crucial, pretty crucial in development.
Yeah. And then did you have your club team, was it considered an academy team at this point, or what was
It
do you
was
know?
just club.
Just club
Yeah,
soccer?
everyone just referred to it as club.
Did you do ODP
Yeah.
you did ODP?
Yeah, I did ODP. I was on the Region 3 team and then went down to Alabama, played up with the OOs.
The OOs.
Sorry, yeah. The 2000s or whatever you want to say.
Uh-huh.
Just OOs.
I was just thinking, just because you're so young, I was thinking, oh, Gucci's coming. She wants to lap. This is her nap time. Hey, she likes you.
Yeah.
Ciaran, this is why Gucci likes Ciaran too, because Ciaran would come take care of Gucci sometimes on away trips when we would
I
go
did it
travel
2 or 3 times, I think.
Yeah, so you and Gucci already have a bond going.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's why I just have to justify it for myself because
Yeah.
I'm getting a little jealous.
No.
So that's okay. So you're doing some ODP now. You're with your club team,
Mhm.
and it's called at this point, like at 13, 14. What's the name of the club again? Is it TSC Hurricanes?
TSC Hurricane, yeah.
TSC Hurricanes. Okay. And then now, were you with that same club team all the way through 18, or did something happen?
Well, so back in the day, like when I was younger, like 13, 14, it was the age group was different. So you could play with OOs. So it was OOs and O1s would play together. And then all of a sudden, like 16, they changed it to pure age. So you can only play with O1s, and that would be the full team. So half of our team was literally split in half. And then so I was in the younger half because I'm an O1. And so our team, yeah, like I said, split in half, but kept a lot of good players, and then we still ended up being really good.
Was that easier because now you're playing with younger players, or did you find the level was pretty similar?
I found it was pretty. I think it got a little easier because we were playing against honestly not as good players. Like half their team wouldn't be as good, but hey. But oh my god.
Yeah, she just gets hungry sometimes. She just starts biting.
All right. No, but sorry, I forgot what we were talking about.
You got distracted by Gucci.
Yeah.
No, but with your club team, and no, I got distracted too.
Yeah.
She's really biting you.
I know.
Be nice, Gooch. Hey.
Okay.
Try to be nice, huh? And then so you did Mike's Academy, right?
Yeah.
When did that start?
That's when you asked.
And for people who are listening, Mike Insian's our coach.
Yes.
Head coach right now at FC Tulsa, but he's been around and is from Tulsa, and he's been around coaching crucial in the development of like Tulsa soccer for years.
Yeah.
And when did you first meet Mike, and when did that all start?
I like officially met Mike when in 8th grade. But Mike knew who I was, but I didn't really know who he was yet because
you're popular or something like that.
He coached the older age groups, and so, but the first year of TSA, Tulsa Soccer Academy, that he ran was my 8th grade year, and that's when you asked like when did I fully go into soccer. That was like when I decided to go to TSA.
And describe like what TSA is for everybody. Like it's like just describe it.
So TSA is so you would like go to a facility, train in the morning from 8 a.m. to 9:30, and then you have your online school. So you'll get set up through an online course. You'll get a teacher, all the whole thing, basically just online school. And then but we stay at the facility, so we would do that, a couple hours, lunch, more like, so it ended up like 5 to 6 hours of school, and then we train again in the afternoon. And then even after that, you would go to your club practices. So I would train like 3 times to 4 times a day. Which is,
that's amazing. Like crazy how, like that's an awesome setup to be an 8th grader that just wants to play and train all day, and you have that. Did you have to convince your parents to do that, or you just ask and they're like, yeah, sure? Or how did that work?
I didn't,
because you basically have to drop out of your middle school.
Yeah,
right?
I dropped out of my middle school, left all my friends.
Was that hard to do that?
My dad was like, if you are really serious about being pro, like this would be a help, like a huge step for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like that. So I was like, for sure, I'll do it. So, I mean, I lost a lot of friends that I had. I had some good friends, and then you just don't talk anymore because I'm not there. So that sucked. But I made some really good friends at the academy. So
how many people were in the academy when you joined?
the first year, I think there was like 18. And then it stayed in around that number. And I was there until my sophomore year. My sophomore year was my last year.
So 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And then and Mike was the head coach, ran everything there?
Yes.
How were Mike's sessions back then?
A lot similar.
Really similar?
To right now, yeah. But
so really bad? I'm just kidding.
No,
Mike's listening. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
I liked Mike's sessions.
No, they're good.
And he would jump in and whoop our butts because he's still young. But he's really good, but I loved his sessions.
No, Mike has a really good, like very detail oriented sessions. You have to be very focused, and it's good, like mentally stimulating. Because I've had training sessions with other teams where it's kind of like you can get by not thinking, you know. And these, it's like even the passing patterns, you're constantly like pushed, and everything. Every day is like different, you know.
Gosh,
she's crazy. But like every day is different, which I like because you don't get caught into a routine and get comfortable. You know, hey, get down, Gooch. She's attacking Ciaran. Because like I've had that with other teams where it's like the same thing. It's like almost like you do the same exact passing pattern, the same drills, and it gets more to be after 9 months of doing it, you're like just going through the motions at that point. Here it's Mike works so hard at like always coming up with new games, new passing patterns, new objectives and stuff to make you like really pushed out of your comfort zone and training, which I really like. And it's been good. And obviously I've been coming back for year after year. That's funny that they're still. Did you do the same, like, actually I don't want to talk too much about his like coaching philosophy and stuff.
No, but he did a lot of the same stuff, just scaled down a little bit because and also at the academy there was no like age limit range there. So there could be like, we had like 9 and 10-year-olds, and then we had like 17-year-olds. So it was like a good mix of everyone.
How was that, like being in a training session sometimes with kids way younger than you and kids older than you? Was that good or bad?
I feel like it was good because the competition wasn't always that high for me or for other players, but for the younger kids it was. So the younger kids got pushed, and then we had to stay mentally focused to actually make it beneficial for ourselves. So like if we wanted to get something out of it playing against younger kids, we still had to go 100%. But I thought it was good. And then I was like the middle of the pack, and then obviously towards the last couple of years I was one of the olders. So
did you miss out those 3 years? Did you miss having like the social aspect of middle school? Or?
Oh man, we joke about it. All the guys that went there, our social life just went just straight down. Like,
did you have a girlfriend at all during those 3 years?
No.
Did you talk to any girls?
No, not really. No.
It was just football and a few hours of online school, huh?
Yeah. Oh, and I would slack on the online too. So it was basically just soccer.
And I think, I mean, obviously, like the amount of development that you get training 3 times a day is insane. Like that is just, it's so incredible that you have that many hours of on, especially as a kid when you can do that and you can train 6 hours a day and your body's not crumbling. Like I think it's so good to do it. But yeah, I mean, like obviously so many people are going to think like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. But like there are downsides, like social life is going to be down. Maybe you might even miss, like, did you miss the classroom at all? Like the in-person teaching at all?
No. I've never been a fan of school. So.
I know. You don't have to tell me that. 5 minutes with talking with Ciaran, you know, it's like, you're not the most intelligent. No. Okay. So overall, the experience with TSA is really good. Huh?
Great. Especially with a coach like Mike. Like if it wasn't maybe an as talented or as driven coach, I might not have gotten as much out of it, but obviously you can see what the level that Mike's at now. So.
Yeah. And then so you're with TSA until your sophomore year. So you're like 16, 15 at that point. You're still training with your club team, the TSC Hurricanes, right? Did you at this point, 16 years old, I mean, this is when you're starting to think about like, maybe college is the good route. Maybe I should go and do something, like maybe I should even be something else other than a pro soccer player? Were you still at this point just thinking pro footballer, pro
Yeah.
footballer?
No, I knew that I had to get into like the next level that wasn't college. So that
Mhm.
was like DA. So once I was like 14, I was like, well, these next like 2 years, I really need to push and get into one.
Mhm.
And so I told Mike that, and he helped me get into sporting eventually.
Mhm.
But so yeah, but I would train with like train at TSA, so train in the morning, train in the afternoon, train with my O1 team, and then train up with his OO team. So
Mhm.
I train almost like 4 times a day, which
Jeez.
was good, but
Uh-huh. Did you have any injuries at that time?
no,
Yeah.
I never got hurt.
Yeah, because that would be my only like worry at all would just be training so much that your body would easy
Sorry, dude.
that your body would just be like not get used to it. But I feel like especially as a kid, and as long as you worked your way up to it, it's not like you went from
Yeah.
doing 0 to 100 and you worked your way up to doing 4 sessions a day, and you're feeling good, you're listening to your body, then the more the merrier, you know.
Yeah, no, the only injury I ever had was I was at Soccer City and I was running on the concrete
Hmm.
outside of the field on my cleats,
Smart, yeah.
and there was a puddle of water, twisted my ankle real bad. But that was the only thing ever. And so it wasn't even on the field injury.
How were you just out for a few weeks?
Yeah, I was out for like 2 weeks.
Uh-huh. Okay. How was your development during that time, like as a player? Did you feel like you just
Oh my gosh.
exploded?
Yeah. No, I was always one of the better people on my team, like top 3, top 4. But then going to like the better team, like the better Hispanic team that I
Hmm.
joined, I was like barely top half
Hmm.
because we were so talented. But then from the like 14 years old to like 16 years old, those 2 years, so like my freshman sophomore year, I like exploded.
Yeah.
Like with Mike's help, like technique. I could barely like when I first got to the academy, I couldn't strike the ball like cleanly.
Hmm.
Like if I wanted to shoot it like no spin, I couldn't do it.
Hmm.
And he helped me do that and like fixed a bunch of things. So crazy, crazy development over
Hmm.
those 2 years.
Yeah. And then did you approach him and say that you wanted, like you sat down with Mike and said, I want to go to the next, I want to join like a full MLS Academy team?
Yep.
And how did you know how to do that? Did your dad tell you to do that? Or did you just like,
In the back of my mind, that was like one of my goals.
uh-huh.
And I went to Mike and he thought it was a good idea too. He had
Hmm.
honestly, because he had connections with a couple MLS academies, got me try out, but he didn't think of it as like a backstab. He
Yeah.
he was like more of like this is his next step. So
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's like such a big thing for coaches
yeah,
is that like when you go up to them and say, "Look, I want to leave your team in order to progress." Like if the way the coach responds shows like they're how good of a coach they are, I feel
yeah,
like. And because I've even had coaches at the semi-pro level when I say like, "Look, I've even had phone calls with coaches who coach me at the USL League 2 level."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Look, I got into a USL championship club. I can train with them now." But they want me, I obviously can't play for your team.
hmm,
And they get mad at me.
yeah.
I'm
No,
like, what? It blew my mind. Like I mean, especially as you can see that like as an academy level, like it's so good that Mike too is like, yeah, no, this is a good idea. I'm gonna help you do that.
mm,
It's gonna be good for your progress. And even for him to think too is like the better Ciaran does, the better that shows for my academy.
yep,
I mean, look at you now. You're probably one of his best like pupils in terms of the
yeah,
academy.
hmm,
Like you're like the poster child for the TSA Academy, yeah?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
so.
No, that's amazing. So you sat down with Mike and had that. And I want to say too, for everybody that's listening, especially if you're in a boat similar to Ciaran, where you're with a club team and you're looking for the next step, like go and talk to your coach. Like they're there
Yep.
to help you. And do you think if you didn't have that conversation with Mike, do you think that he would have pushed you to Sporting Kansas City, or do you think it would have happened? Or
So something that was really funny. So like before we had evaluations at TSA and at your club team, but so before my evaluation, I told him that I was gonna go up to Sporting for the open tryouts.
Mhm.
Went to the open tryouts, made it the first round, made the second round, made the last round, which was just an 11v11 game,
Mhm.
and I had to play right back because there was just a copious amount of midfielders.
Yeah,
And
there's
so
there
played
always
right
is.
back. I did fine. I tried to play. I was like inverted as much as I could, and then obviously didn't get selected to like train with the team. But then went back, talked to Mike, expressed to him what I needed to do, what asked for his advice, and then he got me the full tryout with the actual academy team. So, which was like a real like trial instead of just the open
Tryout,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah. And then that inevitably got me into the academy. So.
Yeah, I really like that because it's like one, because I think as a coaching perspective, you want to help the kids that are trying to help themselves, you know? So like you went out and were like, I'm going to do this open trial by like on my own. You try to do it your own way, it doesn't work. And then you go and talk to your coach too. And even those conversations, even though they're like, you think it's going to go well, they're still like a little tough to have sometimes, you know? It takes guts to have that conversation. And so it's like you went and try to help yourself. Open trouts are always very tough when it comes to that stuff. And then you went and had the balls basically go talk to Mike and say, I want to do this. Can you help me? And then Mike helped you progress up to the next level. Like that's like literally exactly how I think it should be done. So it's cool that that's how it worked for you.
Yeah. And me and Mike have a great relationship building all from those 3 years. And so like we would joke around as friends, like stuff like that. Cause I would see him every day in the classroom cracking jokes and stuff. And then I still get like memories to pop up on my Snapchat of Mike back then. And it's funny to think like how we were back then and how we are now.
Yeah.
Like the difference of like 4 or 5 years. But me and him have a great relationship. So he always wanted the best for me, which was really good for me, I guess.
No, that's really good. And it's cool. I don't think I've ever talked to somebody who their coach at the professional level coached them at the youth level.
Yeah.
I think that's like you're the only person.
It's pretty rare, yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So then like talk about that step up into with Mike helping you to get into Sporting Kansas City and like your trial after the open tryout. Like how did that go?
The open trial
And how old are you now? Is 16, 17?
Yeah, I just turned 16 when I was on trial there.
Okay.
Like the actual one.
Uh-huh.
And so I went there with 3 other players from Tulsa and 2 from my team, or no, 1 from my team and 2 from the younger team. And we went for a week and a half. And so went up, just jumped into the trainings with them, and it was a lot different. Like every single kid there was like if they went back to their club, they were the best kid on their team.
Yeah.
Like me and the other guys were the best people on our team. So everyone there was just so good. So it was like difficult, and I was like, obviously I was nervous. This was like my shot to like make it into the team. But so I was like, well, I'm not going to shy away from the ball. That was my dad was like, get on the ball as much as you can. Don't hide.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I thought I played really well in the trainings, and then all the guys liked me. And so the week went by actually really fast, and I felt like I did good. And then the funny thing was, so after the end of the week, my team was about to go to regionals in like a month or so. And so, cause we had just won state cup. So my team went up and scrimmaged Sporting's team. So I had just been playing with these Sporting guys all week. And then now I'm like back to my team and we scrimmage and we beat them 3-0 and I scored 2 goals.
Ooh.
And they were like, okay, like you're in. And they told me after the game. And
did you think that without that game though, like how based off how the week was going, did you feel like they wanted you to come?
I feel like I would have got in. And then I think the game was just like icing on the top.
Yeah. It's funny how like stars will align like that for ways to work out, like for whatever reason. Like I've noticed that too. I mean, obviously you have to be working extremely hard and to set up the stars in the first place, but like the stars do kind of come all together and you're like, wow, like looking back at moments of my career, I'm like, wow, that was pretty lucky that, you know, we played them the weekend after, or like little tiny things. Oh, this guy got, you know, out because he got in a fight with somebody, and now all of a sudden there's opening here, and then you take advantage of the opportunity. But it's funny how it works out.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. All my like teammates are like, oh, which side are you gonna play on? Like, what team are you gonna play on? But they all wanted the best for me at that age also. So, but it was really good. That was like, so my team had won. We had just done the three-peat of state. So we had won state cup 3 times in a row, which is pretty difficult. And then, but yeah, so we went to regionals, and we always we'd always get so close. Like we lost in the semifinals, lost in the group quarterfinals. Like we always got to regionals and would almost all the time win out of our group, but then it would all like fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then talk about, so for your trial, oh, Gucci's back for more.
Yeah.
She wants to bite you again. She, yeah, she missed you, huh?
So
So with your trial, you said you were nervous, and I think that's
yeah.
really good advice with your dad gave you, like get on the ball as much as
Yeah.
possible. Because I think you do, it's kind of funny, you do when you're a new guy at a team, you kind of like sometimes thoughts go through your head of like just get by,
Mhm.
don't mess up. And how do I not mess up? Well, if I get less touches on the ball, I have less chances to mess up.
Yep.
So like I think that's really good advice of get on the ball as much as you can. Like I really like that. Did you have anything else that kind of helped you calm your nerves, or little piece of advice that looking back on it helped, or were you
Yeah, so
just
in almost even in like today's training and trainings or
Mhm.
in games, I always like I know how to like find space and like get time on the ball,
Mhm.
but I'm like sometimes I'm so like nervous that I'm like I just end up hiding. But I always just like right as the play starts, I like, all right, get on the ball, get on the ball, get on the ball, like get a touch.
Mhm.
And like once I get like a touch and I can just bounce it back, or I can do a half turn, play it to the wing back or something like that, then I feel like I get confidence and I build into the game. And that's when I can like turn, drive forward, play 1-2s. But I always tell myself, just get on the ball, get on the
Mhm.
ball, get on the ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's really, and it's like builds momentum.
yeah,
Yeah. A lot of players talk about that.
yeah.
Like the
Because
first one, first touch,
first
just
touch is
get it in.
almost always a bounce for me.
Yeah.
Just a one touch straight back to where it came from.
I remember one game, I think it was when we played Sacramento back in like 2019 or something. But and I had another game back in 2016, but my first touch, terrible. Second touch,
Yeah.
loss of possession. Third touch, like I got beat. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have a bad game. But like you have to tell yourself the same thing. Like it's fine. Just start from scratch.
Yep.
Get that touch in again. 5-yard pass. Start to build the momentum back again.
Yep.
And it helps because I think once you start to go down, the worst thing you can do is like I need to make up for all three of those things.
And then
And
you
now I
try
need
to do too much.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I had a same thing when I was my rookie year in Orange County back in 2016 in the USL. Like I was doing that, like the first 5 minutes were just a shocker. It was like my 10th appearance all time or whatever. And my coach he gave me like really good advice too. He's just like, I don't care. Like it was like minute 20. He's like, I don't care what you've done this entire game. Barry Venison's such a good coach. But he's like, I don't care what you've done. I'm not looking at it. He's like, start from minute 0 again. Just go. And it was like real quick in my ear, as like the ball's on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like just start again. Start from 0. Build the momentum again. And I ended up having a good game, but it took that. The first touch is important. And if you
Yeah.
have a bad touch, don't try to make up for it.
Yeah. So I had a coach for Sporting. He was coaching for Genk now in Belgium.
Uh-huh.
His name
Wow.
is Michel. He was our technical director. And so anytime I would be on the field, like if I was in the starting 11 or I was making a sub appearance, he'd always like, Ciaran. He was real short. He would bring me in and he would like, just don't do too much. Like first pass, play back. First pass, play back. Second pass, play back. And then build your way into the game. So I think that's like once you get in the zone, like after like you've touched the ball 3 times, you're like you build momentum like you said.
Mhm.
And so once you get in the zone and you're hot, then you feel like no one can take the ball from you.
Yeah.
No one can do anything to stop you almost.
Yeah.
But it's like the very like if you shy away from the ball and you don't touch it for 4, 5, 6 minutes and then you do get it, you're not going to be sharp and you're going to lose it. And then it's like already like a bit into the game and then you get in your head and then you're like, oh crap, well now I'm playing bad.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. How was the facilities like coming into an MLS
Oh my
academy?
gosh.
Like just exactly what you dreamed of and everything?
Yeah, no, when you think of like perfect grass fields, it's what they were, and they had like 3 of them there. But the academy most of the time trained on the turf, and the turf was really good. But even when I was growing up, I only ever played on grass really. So our bumpy grass here that we have is like what I played on every single day.
Uh-huh.
And then going from that to like playing on turf every day I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like
You liked the turf?
Yeah. I was
Because
like,
it wasn't bumpy?
yeah, because I could play a pass
Mhm.
and it wouldn't bounce up and hit my shins without me having like I have no say in what
Yeah.
bounce it takes. But so I would like play a pass and it would just go perfectly on the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like making me 10 times better. So I loved the turf.
Hmm. That's funny. Do you think that training on bumpy surfaces and tough surfaces helped you, or do you think it's just
It helped for
yeah?
sure. It helped the first touch,
Hmm.
helps uh like positional awareness. Like if I'm on turf, maybe I can turn, but if I'm on grass, maybe I can't turn
Yeah.
because it'll bounce up and hit my shin. Or there she
Hmm.
goes with the biting again.
Easy
But
gooch.
no, I think it helps. So
Yeah. Um, and then did you guys like with the academy team? Did you guys come into a locker room before
yep.
training? Did you have your own locker and everything?
Yeah, so the 17s locker room was tiny. It
Uh,
was we were all compact. The lockers are like this big. And
uh,
so everyone was squeezed into that room. And then once you made it to the 19s, if you made it to the 19s, you had a huge locker room where
hmm.
you could sit down in your locker and all that. It was Swope's locker room at the time, so we
Okay.
shared it with them.
Did you have access to the weight room at all at that
Yeah,
age?
so we would lift 2 times a week, most of the time, like a Tuesday, Thursday,
Uh-huh.
or if we had like a game on a Friday or to travel on Friday, we would like Monday, Wednesday, maybe.
Hmm.
And we had shakes after training that you can make, which everyone took advantage of,
Hmm.
and that was awesome. Yeah, the facilities were awesome there.
Yeah, it just felt
I
like a
do
pro.
miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's back up though a little bit. So the Sporting Kansas City, the MLS Development Academy, they offered you is it a contract? I never
Yeah.
signed for a development academy or
Yeah. So
anything.
you signed a contract basically saying you're a part of the academy. You don't have to pay anything.
Hmm.
All you have to do is like, I ended up having to pay, or my family paid for a host family for just food that I stayed with.
Uh-huh.
And then they gave us cleats, gear, everything for free. And then it was like also in the contract, it was like you can't play any other sports. You can't like go skiing.
Yeah.
You can't do any of these like things that you could like possibly get hurt doing. So I
Hmm.
couldn't play for any high school sports or anything like that.
So it's very similar to like a D1
Yes.
letter of intent or something.
Yep.
Uh, okay. And then how did that feel? Did it feel like signing a pro
Oh, it
contract?
felt great.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I made it. Like my mom's post on Facebook,
Yeah.
get like 50 comments from all these old people. I'm like, I've made it.
Oh, such a handsome boy. So proud of Ciaran. No,
Yeah.
that's do you think any players ever fall in the trap of thinking that they made it there?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's and they also drilled that into us. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you think you made it? You're in the academy. Like
Mhm.
you're not even a pro yet." Like they wouldn't let us put our socks above our knees
Oh
because that
yeah.
was something for pros.
Huh.
And but they really drilled us into like thinking that we hadn't done anything yet,
Mhm.
which in retrospect we really hadn't.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I think that like you should celebrate that success, and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I made it to a MLS Academy team. That's a huge feat,
Yep.
got selected by this. But then yeah, it is I could see players thinking like, oh, that they're hot shit, that they made it, they're done, and they
Yeah.
stop like, working as hard.
Yeah.
But I'm sure for most players it's probably extremely motivating and it
Mhm.
pushes you even more to, oh, I'm so close.
Yeah. And then when you're training with players that are when you train with better people, better players, better quality, you get better.
Hmm. Well, look
And
how much better you've gotten last year because you've been training next to me all the
yeah,
time.
right? That's what I tell everyone. So,
And then how did like I liked what you said too about how at these academy teams, it's like the best players from all their local areas coming together.
mhm,
That step up of like the level, and you kind of already hinted at it, but training with better players is the best way to really improve. But
mhm.
was it hard at all to kind of like to really break your way into the starting lineup, or was it hard to like stand out with that many good players around you?
Yeah, you have to pick and choose moments in the trainings. Like, you could be special at this point in time, but this guy defending me is also special.
Hmm.
So, what should I really do? Should I bump it and then not draw attention to myself? Or should I take a touch, dribble him, and then do it? You have to
Hmm.
just pick and choose moments, I guess. But yeah, so when I first went, obviously I went from like being a starter on my team, my club team,
Hmm.
and then straight onto the bench for my first game. We actually played FC Dallas in Tulsa,
Uh-huh.
and I was on the bench, and that sucked. It
Mhm.
really sucked because I was playing like the 6 or the 8, and I thought I should have started this game against FC Dallas because I thought I was better than the 6 that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up giving them like 2 goals, like playing it right to him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is me."
Yeah.
But like I knew I had to like just sit on the bench for a little bit, and I ended up sitting on the bench, and then we lost the game 3-0, and I made an appearance though. I came on for like the last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then but I after that game, if you don't play like more than like kind of our regen now, if you
Yeah.
don't play more than 60, you'll have to play in a men's league game. So we played all those players that didn't play from the older team and us would play against men
Mm-hmm.
like, and so I we were playing, and I went up for a header, scored a header, came down, broke my ankle. And so I was out for like 4 months.
And this is like a week or two in.
This is so I had done preseason for a month. This is like literally my first week of like in season,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my first ever like real injury.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke my ankle, but they didn't know it was a break. It was just the trainers thought it was just super swollen, and I had broke a bone on the inside of my foot called the talar dome.
Mm-hmm.
Broke it and did rehab on it, and I got to the point where I could run, but it just hurt to kick it. Got an X-ray, got an MRI, and they saw it. So
Did you have to? You just have to get into a boot for the next.
they casted it. They
Okay.
casted it for like a week or two, 3 weeks maybe, and then I was in the boot and on
Mhm.
crutches.
Gucci loves you. Yeah. How was during this whole time? Were you still in Kansas City with the host family?
Yes, yeah. So I was with in Kansas City. I had 3 different host families
Mm-hmm.
in 2 years. I had
You got kicked out of them.
yeah, they hated me. No, the first one was good. It was a couple with a married couple with 2 kids, 2 younger kids. I think they were like 10 and like 7,
Mm-hmm.
and they were really cool. And then but I didn't have a car at the time, didn't have a license, and so we moved training times earlier, and they just couldn't take me anymore. So I moved in with a couple, a really nice couple, and then stayed with them for another 6 months. So that ended my first year. And then they were out of my school district zone. So I had to move back into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then moved in with my final host family that was already hosting a kid, one of my best friends, Keith,
Mm-hmm.
that was from Tulsa and moved up there with me. And so we roomed for 6 months. He ended up moving back to Tulsa, and then I finished my last 6 months with them.
Okay. Did you like the host family experiences, or did you miss being with your family? I'm sure you missed it either way,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I miss my family, but it was fun,
yeah,
and it was something that I had to do. My parents weren't just gonna up and move.
yeah.
So
How often, like throughout a full year, how many weeks were you with your family?
so my the first year I saw them one time in a year,
Wow.
or about a year,
Uh-huh.
and because I didn't have a car to drive the 4 hours from Tulsa to Kansas City,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't see them really at all. And then that was really difficult, being hurt, not being able to play, new school,
Yeah.
not with your family, no friends,
Yeah.
like separated from the team a little bit. That really sucked. But
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's like the thing of like even with pros, it happens all the time. Like you think that like getting there, like you're accomplishing everybody's dream. You're in the dream setup in an MLS academy, Sporting Kansas City, amazing setup,
yep,
and you sign that academy contract, and you're like, yeah, I'm here. It's gonna be amazing. And then all of a sudden, you're seeing like the cons, like the downsides to it. You're like,
yeah,
wow, I don't get to see my family. Have to leave all my friends. I'm injured, and now I'm with people that are not really like my supporting like
yeah,
family that I'm used to having. Now I'm doing the recovery away from my whole team, and I'm not traveling with them and stuff.
yeah,
There's a lot of downsides that can come with that, and it's tough that people don't see because they just imagine. Whenever people imagine that stuff, they're just thinking of the good stuff,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's tough. Like it can be really tough. It's
Yeah,
hard.
that first year was difficult. Like I ended up coming back for like the 17 team that we had was really talented.
Hmm.
And we were like ranked like top 10 in the nation, probably like I think it was top 5. But so I got onto the bench during the last like 4 games, or no, like last 5 games, started like the last 3, went to playoffs and actually played up with the 19s as a 17, and then just made their bench and made a couple appearances in playoffs, but we ended up losing. And then the next year, I was with the 19s and I started almost every game.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm sure once you're starting every game, like
Then
it gets a lot better.
Happy. Like that second year, I was like really close with some of the guys on the team at this point. We had a really good friend group that is still really good friends today, like Tyler, Max, all them. Oh yeah, shout out to the toppers. They'll be watching. So had to get that in there.
Shout out toppers.
Yes. Yeah, they'll be watching. So yeah, I had a really good friend group of guys from all over, like Virgin Islands, North Carolina, San Diego, California, everywhere. So at that point everything was going dandy. Like I was with a really good host family, starting every game, we were winning, had a good friend group, hanging out. Yeah, it was like that was one of like it went from like a really low point to a really, really high point, which is good to see. So
isn't it funny too? Like you can be in the same setup, same exact training environment, everything, but like just the difference of whether you're starting, whether you're winning, whether stuff is going well or not, like it can be amazing, best experience of your life, or like you hate it, you know?
Yeah.
After that, like during that first year with Kansas City, were you thinking at all like I should go back to Tulsa? Like
no,
not at all.
No, I was like, I haven't even like really gotten into the swing of things yet. Like I haven't really given it a full go. So I'm not a quitter. So
yeah, I mean that's a really good mentality. I feel like so many people, as soon as this happens so often, the first 3 months aren't going well and they're away from their family or something and they get homesick and then it's just I'm done. You know, why keep doing it?
No, I'd worked so hard to get to that point. I wasn't gonna quit over a little broken bone.
That's really good. Was your at this point were you thinking like your goal was sign an MLS homegrown contract with Sporting Kansas City?
Yeah, that's like right as you get to the academy, you're like, oh man, that's where I want to be. They like everyone's like, oh, I want to be on the first team. I want to be on the second team. I want to be professional.
Because Swope Park was around at this time, right? Because what year was this?
This was 2017-18 season.
2017-18. Okay.
And so Lebo was actually there.
Yeah.
Lebo was there at that point.
Were you there in 2016?
No.
Okay. I was wondering because I played Swope Park like 4 times that season.
Yeah, no,
we lost to them in the Western Conference semis when I was with Orange County.
Okay. I was at did they get to the conference finals again the next year?
I think so.
Because I was at that game.
Yeah.
No, okay. But yeah. So Lebo was there, and then a couple people on the team would train with Swope and would do that. But everyone's goal once you're in the academy, you're like, I want to be pro. So, and that was everyone's goal. Yeah.
Did you ever Did you ever train with Swope?
I trained with Swope. My first year, I trained with them like maybe 2 times, 3 times, if that, any. But the next year, my 19th year, I trained with them a lot.
Okay. How was training with because that was the first time you were training with the pro team, right?
Yeah.
How was that first session with the Swope Park?
It was fine. It was just about like everything that we had been doing in the academy, but just a little bit faster. And so like almost our whole team would train with them some days, and then some days no, like these people will train, and then but yeah, it was difficult. They had a really good team, and obviously we're still young, but like I thought all the academy guys that went and trained fit in pretty well.
Was Akil Barrett there? I think that might have been 2016.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
So you trained with Swope Park a few times. Did you think what was like the difference between like your U19s or U17s compared to that versus Swope Park?
Honestly, our U19 teams was so dang good that like it wasn't a huge jump. It was just the speed of everything, it was just a little bit quicker. So like we would play quick, and then these guys would just play just a little bit of a step up. Like their first step was they were also grown men.
Yeah.
So they had physical advantages over some of us. But so they were faster, just basically just the speed of play was a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think that's always whenever I've like jumped up from whatever level to whatever level, it's just that's what I've noticed, just a little bit, just tiny details, but overall like the play really it adds up. Um, and then were you playing because you weren't always playing center mid with the academy team, right?
No, with TSE or
No,
with
with the
Sporting.
Sporting.
Sporting initially wanted me to be center back.
Mm-hmm.
And so my last year of TSC Hurricane, I was playing like a 10 almost.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing well at the 10. So when I went in, I was like, oh, I'm going to play the 10.
Yeah.
They immediately draw me into center back. That was a big change.
Uh-huh.
But so I was like, I'm not like, I literally told the coach, I was like, I'm not playing center back. I was like, I want to play midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And so he told me, okay. And he stuck me at the 6. So the lowest midfield possible. And in the Sporting system, the 6 is like very stay back, get the ball, get on the ball, swing it side to side, keep possession for us. And I always just was like, well, I can dribble so many people. Like I can dribble, I can do this, I can shoot. But so I would try and dribble too much and then I would lose the ball. And then so I didn't really like the 6 too much, but that's what I played my 17th year.
Mm-hmm.
But as when I was in 19, I ended up playing the 8, and that was more me.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, it's funny that you're like, no, like, what if it was like, okay, you won't start, but you can start at center back, but you won't start at midfielder.
then yeah, I'd probably be center back.
Uh-huh.
But I just thought for my career, I was like, I think I'll be best suited to be center mid. So.
Yeah. I think it is good. I think if I were to like I always think how I'm going to bring up my kid if he wants to play football. Like I would always be like, yeah, be a center mid first. Yeah. And then if we
get
want,
the feet, and then
we can push you wide if we need.
Yeah.
And if you're really bad, we'll push you to right back, you know?
See, the only thing that I think about in my head, I have a friend named Mo who was the same position as me.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 10, got into Sporting the same year as I did. And they moved him straight to center back.
Yeah.
Or they moved him to left back because he's left footed. And then he ended up moving from left back to left center back.
Mm-hmm.
And he got immensely better.
Yeah.
Like he was a really good center back. And now he's playing D1 with Notre Dame right now.
Is that the guy that just signed that you were saying? Or is it a different guy?
No, a different guy.
Okay.
No, he's been playing. He started as a freshman and this is his sophomore year.
Wow.
But he's really good.
Yeah.
And so I was like thinking of like, maybe like I could have been center back and maybe, I don't know, maybe I would be better at center back.
Yeah.
But I think things have turned out pretty well so far. So
that's good. Okay. And then so you're training with the U19s. You've trained a few times with the Swope Park. You and the Toppers are hanging out, having a grand old time and everything. Explain why you called yourself the Toppers.
So Toppers is like we're the top lads. So this sounds so cringy now, but no, we're the Toppers. We're like the best.
Mm-hmm.
We're the funniest guys, and so we all get along. Like we're
the most humble.
Yeah, just the best looking guys, the funniest. You know.
Of course, yeah. So you guys called yourself the Toppers.
Yeah, we're the Toppers, and so we don't like go around just like saying, "Oh,
yeah,
we're the Toppers."
Of course.
Like that's just like the group chat name.
Yeah.
So
I mean, me and my friends call ourselves stupid stuff all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was, might be a little cringy now,
Yeah. No, it's cringy saying it out loud, but
yeah, no, I know what you
they
mean.
know who they are. So.
Yeah. So then now this year, because you're 18 at this point with the U19s.
Yep.
This is like a crucial year, and you're with Sporting Kansas City. Once you're kind of like finishing up that year, are you thinking like you really are kind of forced to look at the next step? So are you talking to the coaches about maybe on getting to Swope Park on like are you talking maybe MLS homegrown deal? Are you talking about colleges? Like what's going on then?
So that year, the team, we were doing so good. We were ranked 3rd in the nation, like 2nd in the nation. We fluctuated from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And so I was like, and I'm starting every game. I was like, wow, this is going good. And then, but every single time, like each week, certain players on our team would train with Swope and certain players wouldn't. And so sometimes I would, but a big portion I wasn't. So I was like, maybe like, I don't know if I'll sign. I don't know if I'll have the opportunity to play with Swope. But so I was thinking that was in the back of my head. But I had talked to our head coach and he thought he wanted me to come back again for a gap year. So play with the academy again and then train with Swope more. And then we'll see after that year. and that was his thing. And then he'd also told me that certain colleges were interested in me, but I had no contact with these colleges, so I have no idea who they were.
Mm.
But that was his goal, or not goal. That was like what was going on in his mind was probably college for me after another year, but maybe the opportunity to play with Swope. So that was the conversation that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind I was like, crap. Like, did I really I didn't really think that I was going to sign for Swope.
Mm-hmm.
So I was keeping other things open.
Mm-hmm. And what else were you keeping open?
I was talking to Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was talking to me, and then
Because what year is this now? This is
2018-19.
2018, 19.
So this is 2019 now.
Okay.
And so Mike, we were in playoffs. Mike called me. I was on our team bus, and I was talking to Mike,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like asking me how I was doing, like asked me if I was signed back for next year to go to the academy. I told him no. And so he was like, well, I want you to come down, train with the team, blah, 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 like talk about signing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll keep this. And then maybe I come back. And then I also had a couple trials in England that were set up for this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And then so this is like May time when you're making this
is
decision?
in around May. Yeah.
I think that's
May, June. I think this is June now.
okay. I feel like it's so important to do that, to like as a player. Like it's good that you did it at such a young age too, but like to treat yourself as like a commodity and like a business,
Yeah.
of like keeping all the options open. Because I've seen players almost have too much loyalty to like Sporting Kansas City or too much loyalty to whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then they only have one option. And then all of a sudden, they don't want you back or they don't want to sign you,
Mm-hmm.
then now it's starting at square one again. And versus like, keeping kind of stuff like a side chick, kind of talking to a side chick,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it sounds messed up, but you almost have to do that. You have to kind of talk to the main, and then you have a couple sides that you're kind of like bringing along.
Yep.
And then you're going to go with the best opportunity.
Yeah. So my first.
But don't do that with girls.
Yeah.
That's strictly soccer. Mimi's eyeing me down. Don't do that with girls. Just do that with soccer.
No, my like first option, I was like, if I can make it in any of these clubs in England, I'll move there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, my second option was probably FC Tulsa or Roughnecks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, but if not, if I don't like that situation, like I'll be back in the summertime just to be in Tulsa with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I was training with you guys then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, if I didn't really like it, maybe I went back to Sporting.
Yeah. That's funny. Now that like you could see like our paths cross. Like I'm now with the Roughnecks in 2019 in June. That's coming back from my injury at that point. Okay, so then now going into the summer, did you end up going over to England?
Yeah. So we had a family vacation planned for my aunt's wedding in Ireland, and so we went for that. And then we had a great vacation. We stayed in Ireland, went to Liverpool, saw some more family, and then went to Paris, and then went from Paris
Spain.
No,
I'm just
back to London.
Uh-huh.
And then stayed in London, and then my parents. So this is like 3-week vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And so my parents and sisters end up leaving, going back to the States, and I end up staying and training with a couple of different clubs. And so I stayed with these clubs, trained, and then but I was there a little bit too late. They had kind of their teams set up at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, we'll keep tabs, but not right now.
Yeah. Did you go and watch any games like when you were in Paris or anything, or
Not in Paris, no. Me and my dad went to a Crystal Palace preseason game. That was really funny. Some of the fans are just so funny.
Yeah.
And then I went to the season opener of the Premier League season, Everton versus Crystal Palace, with my uncle, and watched that game, and then went to the Everton's home opener like a week later in Liverpool at Goodison Park, and I saw that game too. And so I saw the first 2 games of Everton's season, which is like awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really big moment for me, watching them on TV since I was like 7.
Was that your first time in England?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's a pretty sick trip then.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What'd you think of Paris?
I loved Paris. I just don't know if I could live there.
Yeah.
Everything was like so tight.
Yeah.
And like there's so much commotion going on.
Yeah, that's like one of Mimi's like favorite places. And I like it, but like I mean I couldn't live in downtown Paris. I would want to
Yeah.
live. I like I've been to Bordeaux. I really like Bordeaux and stuff. I would have to live somewhere else.
Yeah, no, we did like all the tourist attraction things
Hmm.
for we were only there for like 2 days.
And what did you go to Ireland? You said too.
Yeah, we
And then
stayed for a week in Ireland,
which city?
County Mayo, West Ireland. It's where
Okay.
my dad's parents are both Irish,
Hmm.
so
I know your name, Ciaran.
spelt the Irish way. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so his parents are both Irish. He was born in England, but he considers himself like more Irish. So
Okay. And then do you want to talk about the trials you were with the English teams? Which teams
yeah,
those were and how
I
those
was
went?
with I was with a small. So the first one was in Liverpool. It was with a tiny like team, not tiny, I guess, but I don't even know what league they're in. And honestly, I can't even remember the name of the team. I was there for 3 days.
Uh-huh.
I was more of just getting fitness
Yeah.
and like playing with them.
Getting into the groove of
Yeah, like getting because at this point I hadn't played in like a month,
mhm.
and so that was the first one. And then the only other one that I really had was with Fleetwood Town, and they were in, I think they're in League One,
Mhm.
so the third division, I think. And I went in and trained with their U23s, and they were freaking good.
Mhm.
And I went into it, I was like, I wanted to have like a little bit like confidence, and it was borderline arrogance at this point. I was like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna be like really good, like
Yeah.
this American kid coming in, and like prove these kids like they probably don't think I'm anything.
Yeah.
And I go in and I play really well for not having played like in weeks. But like the only thing, like my feet were good, technically good. I was just out of shape.
Mhm.
And so I stayed there for like 4 days. Met Joe. You know who Joey Barton is?
Mhm.
Met Joey Barton. He was the head coach at that time. And then trained, stayed at their like dorm places, and then played in a game with them in like a preseason game. And that the experience is awesome. These players are like, even though they're like third division
Mhm.
and people don't know like those teams as well, gosh, they were talented.
Mhm.
Like they were so good.
A
And
step up from like the Swope Park.
yeah, like
Mhm.
it's like so they're still 23s, they're still academy, but they're all signed professional.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that up until I got there. I was like,
Mhm.
well, maybe is this like the academy team or
Uh-huh.
like no, these are all professional players. And they were just so good. Like I remember like we were doing a 5v2 like possession switch game. So you know
Yeah.
like you get 5 passes, switch it to the other team, and then their two you send to.
Mhm.
And so we were doing that. And I tried to press, and this huge striker, like ginger hair, grabbed my jersey, wouldn't let me press. And
Yeah.
I was like looking at the coach, and he wasn't saying anything, just wouldn't let me run.
Yeah.
And they got their 5 passes against our one guy, and then passed it over.
Yeah.
And I was pissed off. I was like, man, what the hell? But things were just going that way.
Yeah.
But
It is. I mean, the thing is too, like once you jump into professional level environments, it's like you're coming in to kind of like
take their
to
spot.
take someone's job.
Yeah.
Like literally to take their job, their paycheck.
Yep.
So things get like sometimes you're like, hey, sub, and people are like, no,
Yeah.
not gonna sub
No,
me out.
I got a lot of that last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were signed with an academy contract.
Yeah. I was
last
signed
year.
academy contract, so not full pro.
Mhm.
So I get that a little bit,
Mhm.
but I would try to come on, and a lot of the midfielders were like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it is a dog eat dog world.
Yep.
It is a business like that. And it's
Yeah.
if you're nice all the time with kind of that stuff, then you're kind of gonna get walked over. Or
Yep.
you're what if you would have done really well and those little tiny things added up and all of a sudden you come in and play, then you start over somebody and then
Yep.
one guy's out of a contract.
Yeah.
But overall, like the overall with the experience with Fleetwood must have been pretty amazing.
Yeah. It was,
Did you watch their first team play at all when you were there?
no, they had an away game. I watched them train,
Mm-hmm.
but the training was really good. And then no, but I didn't get to watch a game.
Yeah. How were the facilities and setup and locker room and all that
Their
stuff?
facilities were great too.
Yeah.
They had like really big locker room. The fields were perfect. Even I watched like a non-league game in England,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, God, this grass.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, 90% of the game was like played in the air, so they didn't
Yeah.
even really use the grass.
Yeah.
But
That's one of my things that I really like doing is like when I go into different countries, like when I was in Germany especially, and I was over there for so long, I would obviously watch the Bundesliga games. But then
Yeah.
I would watch Bundesliga 2 games. I'd go down and watch the Dritte Liga, the third division league, and the Regional fourth division, and watch like all the different tiers just to see the little differences, the fan bases, how the supporter section were, just to see that.
Mhm.
Like I really like going over and seeing a third division game in Frankfurt and seeing what that's like, you know?
Yeah.
Like I thought that was really cool. And like in England, I've only been to in England, honestly, I've only seen Prem games and I've only seen championship games. I haven't seen anything other than that.
Mhm.
But I haven't really been over there as like a tourist for like weeks, you know?
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. And then so how long in total were you with Fleetwood?
For 5 days, 4 nights.
5 days. So that's a pretty cool experience. But then at the end they kind of just said thank you for coming.
Yeah, they were like, "So, thanks for coming. We thought you did really well. Thought you fit into the group." But they were like, "But you came too late." Like
Mhm.
this was like August almost at this point.
Yeah.
So they're like, "We already have our full U23 signed. So like go back to the United States. We'll like keep tabs on you. We'll stay in
Mhm.
touch." And that was it basically.
Yeah. That's one thing like I knew obviously you know when the season starts, you know when
Yep.
preseason is, but like when you go over there, sometimes you're just thinking like, oh, they'll have money or they'll be like whatever, and you're not really thinking of like the ideal time to go. Like in
Yeah.
Germany, I went over in November just because I was done with Sacramento Republic,
Yep.
and I should have left Sacramento because I was just training with them. I should have left in July and gone
Mhm.
over to Germany.
Yeah, that was the only thing. I knew that being there like earlier in the summer or even before that would have been ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But like when they really wanted me to come was like when Sporting was like we were in playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't just
Mhm.
like up and leave because
Mhm.
that was still an option for me.
Yeah. And then after Fleetwood, did you just come straight back to Tulsa after that?
Yeah, I just came to straight back to Tulsa.
And did you train with us in 2019 before that or
Yes.
after that?
I trained with you guys like for a week
Mm-hmm.
and then my body was hurting and I was like, because I had just came off Sporting, so I hadn't had a break.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll take a break, come back for like a couple days before I leave to England. So I think I trained with you guys for like a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the first training I was at was when you're at Holland Hall.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was really hot. Yeah.
How was the first training with us with the Roughnecks?
I thought it went well.
It was at Holland Hall, you said.
Yeah, it was at Holland Hall.
Mhm.
I remember there was a couple other trialists there, and then but yeah, I thought it was fine. Like I didn't know anyone really, obviously, besides Mike.
Mhm.
And I trained. I thought I did okay. And then I always remember one thing in my mind. So like after the training, all the signed players got like these the milkshakes, like the protein shakes, you
Yeah.
know?
It's
And
like
I,
milkshakes.
not
It's like,
yeah, the protein
yeah.
shakes.
Like, when
And
did we
I-
get a milk? I didn't get a milkshake. I'm all
No.
jealous.
Yeah, everyone got the protein shakes that were signed, and I didn't know like they were only for the signed guys.
Uh-huh.
And I went up and I was like, "Can I get one to Jonathan?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Only for signed guys." And I was pissed off, and I was like, "Man, you just wait." I was like, "I'll be signed and I'll get one."
Jonathan, if you're listening to this, screw you, Jonathan. Jonathan's our team trainer. He's been there since 2019.
Yeah, and I was just in my mind, I was like, "Just you wait, I'll get
Mhm.
one. I'll get
Mhm.
one."
That's awesome. And you ended up now you have your protein. Now you
Yeah.
got collagen as
Yeah,
well.
now
You
I
got
got-
collagen, protein powder, everything.
The whole 9 yards.
Oh, Gucci's gonna come up for lap sit number 3 now. Just thinking about it. Yeah. So and then did you talk with Mike after training with us? How many days? Were you with us? How long were you with us?
For what?
Like with the Roughnecks, like training. How many times did you train with us for the whole
I think
time?
like 7 times.
I was gonna say I don't remember it that
No,
much.
yeah. And then a lot of it I was on the sidelines because you guys were like mid-season. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so trained a couple times, and then I was like, Mike, I need a break.
Mhm.
And then he knew I was going to England, so
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good setup to have to come back home when you get to train with the pro team as well.
yeah.
How did Mike think you did with when you were training with us? Did you talk with him about that?
Nothing really I'm pretty sure I did okay.
Yeah.
I didn't like stand out or anything, obviously.
It's always hard when like the thing is too, if you've never like trialed or even trained with a pro team in the middle of a season, it's not like you get a ton of even.
You're not getting almost any attention.
Yeah.
You're straight to the sideline,
Mhm.
and you'll rotate in if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the drills are tactical based, working on formations. You might be on the second team if you're lucky to get reps,
Yep.
pressing some stuff, and then you stop. It's not like it's a lot harder to stand out at at trials when you come in with teams. It's why I think it's so important if you can. I mean, obviously, if you come in for a trial, go.
Yeah.
But if you can get there during preseason, it's
preseason
huge.
is the best.
It's huge because that's when they're actually like allowing you guys to play more and really watching.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're kind of like coming back from Fleetwood. It's like September. Or?
Yeah, and around September. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so now, what are you thinking? Are you thinking like I'm going to go back to sporting for a gap year? Like right now, what is?
So at this point, sporting was almost off the table.
Wait, hold. Actually, before you talk about that, how did you get the opportunities in England? Was that your dad setting stuff up? Or?
My dad had contacts, and so with an agent, and he got me the Fleetwood trial. And then I was supposed to we had talked to him. I was like supposed to go to Belgium, supposed to go to the Netherlands. All fell through. But yeah, so it was my dad's like old friend that's an agent that set that up for me.
Okay. Yeah. That worked. I mean, obviously that's pretty good. It's funny too that like things fell through because I've always found like honestly 1 in 10 opportunities actually come to like fruition.
Yeah.
You know? Because like you'll be talking like, yeah, awesome. We'll get you set up here, Belgium, France, all this stuff going.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, like, oh, this team, all of a sudden, the coach got fired, or this team, something happened over here. Or this team now they're not doing so well and might get relegated, so they're bringing in other players. You know?
Yeah, it really sucked because I was waiting there. My family had gone back to the States, and I was just chilling with like my aunt in their house, and they had work all day. So I would like go out onto this take the bus in London to this field, this AstroTurf field, and I would jump the fence and play there with my like flat ball because I didn't have a pump. And then so I would do that for like
you didn't want to spend the £5 to go get
I didn't know where to get it. My aunt ended up getting me one, but so I got the pump, and then yeah, so I would jump onto this field and play and try and get like fitness. But it's hard to do stuff with just a ball and like no cones, no nothing. But they had a goal there, so I would do fitness, do technical work, pass it off the fence.
Yeah, it's so important because you want to try to stay fit, stay sharp, but it is hard because you're not.
Because I was like at this point, I was like, okay, Fleetwood is the next training that will happen in like a week or so, and so I was like, I want to be fit, to the best of my ability. And so, but yeah, sneaking onto that field, I got chased off the field from the English police, jumped the fence and just ran off.
Yeah.
But that was the waiting for the trials to set up is so stressful. Like I'm just sitting and waiting all day.
Because it could be and then you're going to get the call and it's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready.
I'm just waiting for my phone to ding.
Yeah.
And for like days and days and days, it's just nothing's like, no notifications on my phone, and it's just getting depressing. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then finally it happened. So
cool. Okay, so now let's go back to where you're back now after Fleetwood, back in Tulsa. So what's going through your head now? You're like going back to sporting? Is that what you're thinking, gap year?
So I was supposed to stay, or I was supposed to report back to sporting because they didn't know. I failed to communicate. I told them that I was going to be in England, but so they wanted me to report to this date. I got a phone call from my coach, and he was pissed that I wasn't there. But I told him I was going to be in England, and I think he must have forgotten. But and then at this point, I made literally a decision on the phone whether to go back to sporting or to go to Tulsa.
So it was a gut decision at that moment.
Literally, I hadn't made up my mind yet. And then I got the call from him. He's like, "Are you going to be here?" I was like, I'm gonna go play with the Roughnecks. And I literally just right in that instant, I made up my mind. I was like, I'm just gonna go home.
Wow.
Play with Mike.
So you hadn't really, I mean, you obviously had thought about it, but
I had thought about fully. I had pros and cons, and I was like, you know what? I trust Mike, and I was like, I'm gonna go play for Mike. So
why? Is there any reason other than that? It was just that was like
I had a gut feeling like if I was gonna sign or not. I was like, I don't think this is gonna happen for me here.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll have a better chance at becoming pro. And I never wanted to go to college, so I was like, if I can go pro now, then why not? So.
And then did you call Mike right after that and be like, please take me?
No.
How'd that go?
He called me like late at night because the time difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I was literally about to go to sleep, and then after, and I hadn't even had the tryout at Fleetwood yet
Okay.
at this point
Mm-hmm.
when he called me, and so the sporting was off the table, and then I was like, went to the trial with Fleetwood, didn't work out,
Uh-huh.
and then I called Mike and I was like, I'll be back, like, and then but at this point you guys are getting towards the end of your season,
Yeah.
and so I came back and I trained a couple times with you guys towards the later end of the season, and then we talked for the next year, and that's I signed the academy deal next year,
Mm-hmm. And what month was it that you signed the academy contract?
December.
December. Okay. Were you nervous at all, like October, November,
That
thinking
like it
like,
wouldn't happen.
because now you kind of, I don't want to say burn the bridge at sporting, but you kind of were like, I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
Fleet English trials aren't working out, and now you're like, come on, Mike. Like,
Yeah. I knew that Mike was the way that he had talked to me while
Mhm.
I was there on the phone and everything. I was like, he wanted me to sign an academy deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, this is like a for sure thing.
Mm-hmm. So you weren't stressing during that time.
Not really stressing too much over that, but
And then so December comes around now, you get, I've never signed an academy contract with the pro club. Is it like is it like a normal contract, like a normal standard USL contract without the
without the money.
without the money?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is important too in America because you can sign that, and let's say after that 2020 year with the academy contract, with getting games in the USL, you could have still have gone to college because you're
Yes.
technically still an amateur.
Yes.
So that's the point of the academy contract for those of you listening. So yeah, I think it's a good decision to do that, especially if you're kind of like right at the border, you know.
Yep.
What was going through your mind when you signed that?
I was over the moon. I was happy. I was like, well, like I signed that and I'm like, well, I'm not getting paid. I'm still a pro.
Yeah.
Like I'm still playing with a pro team. I still have a number. I still
Mhm.
have all this. So I'm like, well, I just need to make this year count. And then COVID happened and the
Mhm.
game got or the season got cut in half. So that really sucked for me. But
Mhm.
yeah, I thought I took advantage of the time that I had with
Mhm.
the team. So
Yeah, no, that was good. And then were you excited now to come in and join a team during the first day of preseason and
Yep.
be there the whole way?
yeah.
Was there, I mean, you've already trained now with Fleetwood, you've already trained with Swope Park, but was there anything that you noticed that was different coming in, maybe as like as an academy contract or anything?
Nothing really. I mean, just like the speed, because I never like fully been on a professional team, obviously. So like day in, day out, playing as hard as you can
Mm-hmm.
was different, but I adapted pretty quickly.
Yeah, I thought so. The only thing I noticed is like you just kept on having to go to Jonathan like a lot to get ice on your ears because I was flicking for 2-touch every single morning.
No.
Every
Okay.
single time. Ciaran, come over here. Pop, pop.
No.
Me and Toby,
No.
pop, pop.
Okay, so maybe I didn't even play 2-touch.
Yeah.
Up until you showed it to me.
Uh-huh.
And then you maybe flicked my ears for like the first 2 months was bad. But after that, Toby can attest to it that like I got really good at 2-touch.
Yeah.
That's what I missed that. We don't play 2-touch in this preseason anymore.
So I first started playing 2-touch, with like, I think it's St. Louis FC, like in 2017. We just started playing this game where it was just like, okay, yeah, it was just 2 touches no matter what. Like you could use your thigh at that point, but then it just got to the point where after like a week, we're like the ball would just be rattling for weight. The whole warm up, we wouldn't flick somebody's ear.
Yeah.
Okay, no thighs. You can't do thighs. Too easy. And then that's how it progressed. Then no head, and then but somebody had brought it from somewhere. I don't know where. But yeah, it was like I love that game because you get so many touches.
Yeah.
The confidence you have bringing the ball out of the air just is so good.
Yep.
The only thing that I miss with like doing rondos instead is because rondos, I love the quick decision making.
Yeah.
But when you have a group of 20 people, you get one touch.
Like, even today, like I didn't touch the ball for like 4 minutes, and then I got it and I went straight in the middle.
Gucci is loving Ciaran, huh? Loving you. All right, so we played 2-touch a lot, but I will say with Ciaran, the first 2 months, honestly, Ciaran lost almost every single game, every single one, and we flicked his ears constantly. But I'll give you credit, and I don't like doing this, but you grew so fast with your touch and your ability to play 2-touch that I was like, damn,
I
like
was better at two touch than I was at soccer at that point. I was really good at two touch.
you were you and Toby. I remember when it was you and Toby and me. Like honestly, towards the end of the season, I was losing
Yeah.
majority.
Oh, I know. I remember. I
like,
was me and Toby could flick hard at that point too.
That's the thing. Not only was your two touch skills improving, but your ear flicking ability was improving as well. That was good. No, I missed Toby a lot with our two touch games.
I miss Toby too.
Okay, and then so now with the 2020 season, obviously COVID interrupted that, but how was that first full season now with a pro team, training, developing? You're back with Mike. How was that like overall?
I thought it went well. I still thought that I could play so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what was like the thing that was holding me back, whether it was like confidence on the ball or like getting in tune with rhythm, finding space, what it was. But I don't know. But this year, I feel like even like I can ask you like me last year and me this year, just even from that, I feel like there's a big difference.
Yeah, I think so. I think that like what I would say is like the decision making's a lot better.
Yeah.
Like because sometimes last year you would just like kind of randomly turn right into somebody.
Yeah.
You're like, Ciaran, why are you turning there?
Yeah.
And then, but you also were playing like out of position a lot too.
I was playing 10, and then I played wing. I almost played every position.
You played some fullback.
I hated fullback. So boring. It's got to be the most boring position.
No, it's fun. If you play it right, it's fun. It's fun. I do like winger more. Winger is fun. But no, it was just like little decision-making things. I thought that you were smaller last year. Like how many pounds have you gained some muscle?
I gained 15 pounds.
15 pounds of muscle. You got a little bit bigger and stronger, faster, I thought. Yeah. And then I think like decision-making again, like when to bounce it, when to turn, like we kind of talked about even with trials, like when you can take on some guys or when you should just play super simple. So it's been good. So that full year, that was a big development playing with the pro team and everything. That's good. And then what was Mike saying throughout that year? Did you have more conversations with Mike or your dad about like the future?
Yeah, I think my goal was just to sign a full deal. Mm-hmm. And so when Mike brought that up, I was over the moon. I was like, just another step that I'm achieving. So, but I was like, man, I didn't know if I fully deserved it from like last year. And then, but when he gave it to me, I was like, man, I got to change. Like, I got to get this much better. And then I don't even know what I really did, but like, I think it was almost mindset. Like, I was like, I got into a really good space mentally when I'm playing now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that has helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. How did you do that?
I don't know. I think I just focused a little bit more on every single detail of the training. Mm-hmm. Like my first touch, do this, and then I watch film, and then I know what pocket to be in now, and it's like razor sharp mindset. More like every pass has to be good. Mm-hmm.
More attention to every single detail. Yeah, it is important because even with the passing combinations, if you have a day where every single touch is bobbly or your passes aren't sharp, you carry it over into the possession. Yeah. You carry it over into the game. Yeah. Like even today, I felt really, really sharp during like the possession or the passing combinations. And I felt really sharp, like clean with my touches in the game.
Yeah. So you know, I thought you had a good training session today. Yeah, I thought I played well today too.
They did well.
But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I went into the season, I was like, this is it. Like I'm a full professional now. Mm-hmm. I really have to like I can't, like there's passes last year, like I would check to the ball and bounce it, and the bounce would be too short and it would get picked off and we'd get scored on. So this year I was like, what, that can't happen now. Like I'm academy last year, like I'm full pro, everything has to be perfect. Yeah. And obviously I still make mistakes, but like I think there's not as many anymore.
Do you think that like being on an academy contract and not being like full pro, do you think there was like a little bit of like a disconnect of like being with the full team and you almost you're like, oh yeah, well I'm not on like the full pro contract, so I can be like, I can mess up a little bit more, or I can, you know.
I didn't think it was like I can mess up more, but it was like I had more cushion because like I'm not I'm not held to a higher standard as everyone else. Yeah. And I did feel a little bit of disconnect that last year.
Yeah. And so let's go back. So after the season ended, the 2020 season, when did Mike offer you the fully professional contract for 2021?
Our closing like our player evaluations at the very end of the year after we lost against El Paso. So when everyone had their meeting scheduled, that meeting he told me.
Okay. He said, I'm going to offer you a fully
Yeah, so
professional.
yeah, it was like him, Vuko, and Ricketts in there, and they were like, "Thought you did well. You'll be a pro next year." Like really subtly like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then I asked, I was like, "So wait, so am I like signing next year, like
Uh-huh.
full deal?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, yes. Little pump or something
Like
like
it was a
that.
little too casual, it felt
Yeah.
like.
And then they didn't like make it to be any big deal,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it's not for them, but it was for me. So
Mm-hmm. That, I mean, when they said that and like after the meeting, did you like call your mom or dad right away or like what'd you
yeah,
do?
my dad called me
Uh-huh.
before because he knew what time my meeting was at, and then he texted me, and then we got on a call. I told him.
What'd he say?
He was like, "Time to take another step, like
Mm-hmm.
start setting more goals." So
Mm-hmm. That's a great another good piece of advice because again, like signing the pro contract is like okay, great, but like it means nothing if you're not getting in the games now, if
yeah,
you're not
no,
doing the next
my
step.
dad's always been like set goals, set
Mm-hmm.
little goals and big goals, and achieve the little ones, push towards the big ones.
Yeah.
So
Did you do anything to celebrate it once that contract came in and you put pen to paper?
uh I think we went out for dinner.
Yeah.
Nothing like huge,
Mm-hmm.
but and obviously like we couldn't release it yet. They
Yeah.
told us like don't announce it or anything, but like my immediate family knew, and that was
Mm-hmm.
about it.
It is funny. I say this a lot, like with the contracts. It is like you think it's going to be this huge deal, and
Yeah.
like it kind of like Mike said, yeah. So you'll be a pro. We'll give you the contract. You get the contract, you sign. You can't really tell anybody, and you're like, this is not as
Glamorous.
momentous
Yeah.
as like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I was like, man, when is this blue check coming in? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is kind of like that. And then so you sign the fully professional contract, then you're pro now, like full pro. Depend all three contracts that you've signed now, like between like your first Sporting Kansas City Academy contract and your academy contract with FC Tulsa, and then this contract. What were the differences and similarities? Did you have like a favorite that meant the most to you, or how's that?
Yeah, I feel like the sporting one was like it wasn't a huge goal to reach, but it was like one of the little goals that
Mm-hmm.
I had set. And the FC Tulsa, my first one, was another one of the little goals, but like making the team to being professional. The being professional has obviously been the biggest goal,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was my favorite one.
Yeah.
That one, like after I signed, I was
Yeah.
like took a step back, like reflected and uh celebrated. So
It's funny that you did the sigh. Like I feel like it's almost like a sigh of relief. Like
yeah,
you're like after all this work, like finally, like I got it.
yeah,
Okay. Like that's to me what it was more instead of like, oh my gosh, like so happy.
yeah,
It was more of the
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
did
yeah.
that finally. Now I'm ready for it. Like, let's go. Like it is
Yeah.
so funny how it is like that. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you did the breath. It's so accurate. It really is so accurate.
Yeah.
And then so now, coming into this 2021 season, we've talked about how this year's feeling a little bit different. You're feeling more confident, you're feeling better. And we kind of talked about why, but like any other things like coming into this preseason and like, did you do anything in off season to like really help you or like,
Yeah, I knew that I needed to put weight on. So I ate a lot and
Mhm,
then tried to and I was in the gym almost every day doing no cardio.
mhm,
Like through the first couple months, doing still work on the ball work with my dad, and then but like nothing like too crazy, just eating a lot and working out a lot. And then so I put on like the 15, and then I started like the last month and a half I started doing cardio,
mhm.
doing the John Terry, and then I just felt I was almost worried. I was like I went from 160 to 175, and I was like, man, I'm gonna be slow.
Yeah.
And then we did like the first couple sessions, like the first guys that were back,
Mhm,
like non-official, and I was like I sprinted. I was like, dang, I feel fast.
mhm.
So
I don't know if you feel like this, but from what it seems like, I don't know if it's a mental thing or whatever, but it seems like you are moving faster now than last year.
yeah,
Don't you think?
yeah, no, I feel like we're like last year Kieran and this year Kieran are like completely different
Mhm.
players.
Because it is. I mean, it is kind of scary when you see the weight going up on the scale because you start
Yeah,
to think like, oh, am I becoming a meathead or am I becoming too heavy?
yeah,
But then like, as long as you're doing the right exercises, the compound lifts, you're doing everything, and as long as you don't go overboard with it, And then especially if you can get in a cut and cut out more fat,
Yep.
you can get so much more explosive, more agile, faster.
Yeah.
But it's like finding the balance of like the perfect amount of muscle, like leanness. Oh,
Mhm.
Gucci's coming back for round 4.
Yeah, no, I felt really good.
Mhm.
So
With your, what are your goals like for like your physique now? Are you still trying to gain more muscle? Are you trying to get stronger? Are you trying to
Yeah.
cut fat or what?
I lost. So I was 175.
Mhm.
Preseason, I lost 5 pounds. Honestly, I thought I was gonna lose more.
Uh-huh.
Just training every day, and then I had moved into the apartment by myself, so I didn't have like mom's cooking or
Yeah.
anything. So I was trying to eat as much. So I lost 5 pounds, and then now I've talked to Miguel a little bit. I like now I'm starting to do more lifts by myself because like
Mhm.
in preseason, like you do two practices in one day,
Yeah.
and then you're just like so drained that I didn't have any energy to like work out extra.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm starting to work out extra and then build a plan. And I think I want to maintain in around 170, 175,
Mm-hmm.
stay kind of lean. But
That's what I like. I'm 170 is like my ideal weight.
yeah, but everyone gives me crap anyways for being skinny. So especially Bradley. But
Mm-hmm. But especially Bradley.
yeah,
That's
everyone
funny.
always got something to say about me in the gym.
Of course. You gotta give shit. You gotta build the character, build the mental toughness.
Yeah.
No, that's good. What are you doing extra for your extra lifts? Is it just the basics, or what are your?
Yeah, I do upper body, back, core, and then legs sometimes. I don't
Mhm.
I was doing a lot of legs in the off season, but this season I'm like in season I was like probably not the smartest idea to do legs
I think the
during the
amount.
midweek.
Yeah, I think the
So
amount of legs that we do with our team weightlifting is
enough.
a good amount. Yeah, for in
But yeah,
season.
so I just whenever like I lifted on our off day on Sunday after
Mhm.
the game, and then I'll probably lift tomorrow. Dang. But
She reaches a threshold. Gucci does
of
like,
petting.
yeah,
Yeah.
she loves it, loves it, loves it, and all of a sudden, nope, too much.
Yep. Sorry, cat.
Now she's getting agitated. All right, and then how is so you moved in too? Because last year you were living with your parents
Yep.
at home. I always remember we'd have the Zoom calls and the Zoom meetings. You'd be in your bedroom looking at the looking at the
Laying on my
computer,
bed.
looking at the computer screen. Yeah, with the Everton in the background
Yeah,
or
the
something.
flag.
How is living on your own in your own apartment now?
Oh,
Because this is
man.
your first time, right?
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love having like freedom to do whatever I want. Like not seeing a crock pot cooking. Just
You're
I
such a
can make whatever
TikTok.
I can make whatever I want.
Uh-huh.
So
Why is with your generation, why do you guys hate crock pot so
crock pot
much?
food is just it tends to be dry. Like if there's chicken in
Not
there.
if you do it right.
The only thing is like roast beef in a crock pot or
Mhm.
something like that, then it's really good. But most of the time, like when my mom had a crock pot, it was like chicken and I hated the chicken. It felt dry. But my
I've
mom's a
always
great cook, but like just that, I was like, oh
I've
my
always
gosh.
enjoyed crock pot meals. Maybe
Uh,
I'm a millennial, but whatever.
You're just weird, I guess.
I guess I'm just weird. So living on your own now, first pro contract. How is like is there anything that like you didn't expect, or is it like pretty much because you've been around, you've had the academy contract now, you kind of eased your way into
Yeah.
the setup. So
No, nothing has really shocked me.
mhm.
I mean, I miss my dog.
Yeah.
My dog, I tried to have him there, but he was too heavy.
How far do you live from your family home?
Like 5 minutes.
Yeah. How often do you go back?
Maybe once a week.
Uh-huh. Do laundry and
No, we have laundry in our
yeah, but
apartment.
your mom
so-
doesn't do the laundry for
Oh,
you?
come on, man.
You do your own laundry?
I've done my laundry since
Do you
I was like
separate the lights and
14.
darks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I hang to dry.
Yeah, no, I don't. I just throw everything in.
Yeah.
Boom,
No.
everything in the dryer.
No. No, I do it all. But no,
That's
I
good.
go back like once a week to eat and whatever, like have a
Mhm.
meal with my sisters and my mom and dad.
Uh-huh.
And
Do you find it easier or harder now that you're cooking majority of your, or you're responsible for majority of your meals? Do you find it easier to eat healthy or harder to eat healthy?
easier. My mom would cook some bad stuff.
Yeah.
But like now I just like get on a schedule of like what I eat on this day
Yeah.
or whatever I have in. And it's pretty easy, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it a lot.
Good. And then now season has started. We just had our second game, and you had your professional debut against Oklahoma City.
Yep.
How was that?
Man, that was awesome. That was like so I was like sitting on like my goal for this year was like get on the 18. That
Mhm.
was the first thing that I wanted to do. And so the first lineup comes out, travel roster, I'm on there feeling good, and I'm like, well, still might not get in. I need to be mentally ready though if I do. So the game's going on, we're having a great game, thumping them.
Mm.
And then they get the goal, and I'm like, dang, probably not going to go on.
Mm.
And then we score, make it 3-1. It's like the 85th minute or something, and I'm warming up down there, like the OKC fans are like talking crap to us, and all that. That was funny, but then like I hear my name screamed, and I'm like, bolted over to the sideline, bolted over there. Mike gave me a hug. Vuko like told me the assignments and whatever, and got on. And the first thing, right as I got on the field, Rodrigo was like, man, I don't want to see you stop running. Like, you better run. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to stop running.
Yes, Dad, I won't stop
like,
running.
You got it, Rodrigo. No, it was awesome.
And you came on and did really well. You had a couple like really good combination passes. You almost got in behind for a goal.
Jerome has given me a bunch of crap because I could have played it to him. Apparently,
no. That you should. If you would have passed out,
it would have been offsides or something.
Yeah, typical
Jerome.
But and I mean, again, it's kind of like, it's funny too how we kind of said with the stars aligning. Like, it's funny how it is. We were playing our derby match against OKC at OKC. Fans are back. Tons of fans that game. Great atmosphere at night. We're winning. We went down as 2-1, but then we had a little lucky goal with Dario to set up the next star aligning. And then you come in. It all kind of like worked out very nicely.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny how it works like that.
Yeah, it was almost perfect, but for the first one, yeah. And then got in.
Were your parents at the game? Was your family at the game?
No, they weren't, but they were at this last one versus Sporting. So
yeah, because then you made your second professional your second professional appearance. Against Sporting Kansas City, your old kind of like club, pretty much.
Yeah, old club, a lot of old teammates playing for that team. So that one.
How many toppers were in the 18?
In the 18, there was only 2. And then
Tyler and
Max, the backup goalie. Yeah, so two in the 18, and then. But that one meant a lot for us to win. I was like, man, I don't even care if I go in. I just want us to win.
You were in, and I was sitting next to Eric and Rodrigo, and you'd like were like running around. I'm like, Ciaran's absolutely buzzing against his old team, back home stadium, 5,000 fans right now.
Yeah,
he's buzzing.
That one was awesome.
Family was in the stands and everything.
Yeah, they were in the stands for this one. But yeah, no. The feeling like you get, I feel like it's almost like surreal, like walking onto the pitch, like especially in Oklahoma City. I felt like I was watching myself in third person. Like I felt like I wasn't even there. Yeah. But no, it's
awesome. It's funny because like I think people see that, like, at least for me, like I kind of thought that too. Like, you see yourself in third person because it's like you've envisioned it so many times. You've seen yourself running out the very first time for your first appearance, or you've seen the start, and you've like just at home, whatever, lying in bed, you're imagining it, visualizing it. And so when it happens, you're also kind of like have the firsthand experience, but you're also kind of going back to your visualizations and combining the experience. That's just my like theory on it, because I've thought that too. Like, it's in third person. I was trying to describe to you after Oklahoma City when we were on the pitch, I was like, what it felt like. Yeah. And now it's like third person. Yeah, no, that's really, really I've always found it too it's hard to like soak in everything. Yeah. Because sometimes I'll go through and I'm like, wow, I didn't really even look around, to the fans to like experience it. That was one thing that like I told myself when I came back a couple times, back from injuries, back after a COVID break or whatever. I always am like, okay, enjoy look around, take a moment to like soak in how much, like, the fans, the atmosphere, the drums, and everything. Mimi wants to have a little comment. What's up?
There's been games where I've stood next to you the entire game filming you. Like, I could like touch you almost, and you're like, oh, you were there. I didn't even know you were there. Look at anything. You drown it out a lot out.
Yeah, it's like in a tunnel.
Yeah, but when I was at the OKC game and I was sitting with Olivia, she's like yelling at Bradley. Like, Bradley looks up there and like smiles and waves. I'm like, she doesn't even know if I'm here. Like, he wouldn't even care.
I'm just focused. Bradley's not focused, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. How was now, like, did you go back home and could you like sleep after the game at all, or were we just replaying the couple minutes that you had?
I slept fine.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. Huh. My adrenaline's pumping way too much.
Yeah, no.
Even now, I still can't fall asleep?
No, I didn't go to sleep until pretty late. Like me and Kembo and Promise hung out a little bit, celebrated that win, but I thought, yeah, no, I slept fine, but I was still on a like emotional high.
Yeah.
But
Do you think that was like the best moment of your career?
yeah, so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Because
cool.
I only got like, I think it ended up being like 6 or 7 minutes versus Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one I got like almost double that. So
Yeah. When I remember being on the field at OKC and I saw you were coming in, and I felt like a proud dad. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, my boy, he's coming on. Don't screw this up for us. Sometimes like it's funny, but I'm like, oh man, if he messes up and we get scored. Luckily, we had a 2-goal buffer.
Yeah, you're gonna give me so much shit.
I would have. Yeah, I would have the whole rest of the season. Not.
Oh my god.
It's good that you had a good.
No, when I went on, I was like, just connect passes. Like, just don't lose it.
Same mentality with like Sporting Kansas City. Same thing.
I was just like
Find the ball.
literally in my head. Yeah, I was like, try and get on the ball, and I was like, just don't lose it. That was literally it. Like my first touch ended up being it was like ricocheted off like some header or something, or I think, and I took a touch into the midfield, and I didn't see anyone immediately over there, and I knew someone was chasing me, and I just passed it straight to Jorge.
Yeah,
it was a little bit in the air and like behind him, but he got it, and I was like, okay, I made the first one. And then the next one, I think I did a little flick to Rodrigo. And then, but I was like, okay, I did enough. I was like, I did all right.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, your whole story's kind of been like for local from Tulsa, going up the ranks, slow baby steps up for the club teams, going up, going over, taking the leap with Sporting Kansas City, coming back to your hometown, and then being the first full like academy contract from Tulsa signed to a professional contract. So that's awesome. And obviously Mike played a huge role in that for you and everything. Is there anybody else? Your dad, your family, your Mike, but is there anybody else that really?
There's so many. I had so many great coaches. My dad, Mike, Eric Edwards, a lot of people had a big influence on me. So
that's awesome. Okay. And then and now we're preparing for Indy 11 this next weekend, and hoping to make the travel roster and head up there. That'd be awesome. Okay. And then now that's your full career. I mean, you haven't had a long professional career, but that's why we focused all on the but it's young. I mean, at your age, I always forget. At 19, I was freshman in college at UC Davis. So your career is going better than mine is.
It's not much to say, but
I knew that was coming. I literally teed that up for you. Okay. So now I'll ask you a few questions that I always end the podcast with. You already kind of answered it, but the best moment of your career and then the absolute lowest moment of your career.
Yeah, the best moment was coming on versus Oklahoma City. Like, it all felt surreal, but it was something I've been working towards my whole life. So that was like by far the best. And then the lowest is breaking my ankle, being away from home. Like I said, being away from the team. And that one was not good, but going from, but even with that low point, it turned around in a couple months and I was at one of the highest. So
I think it's too, you get your lowest when it goes from like high to low.
Yeah.
Because you just went from like signing with Sporting Kansas City. Like on a high, like I'm going to break in, here we go. And then
straight
boom.
to low.
Yeah. That's where I've always got my lowest points, when it was like right as I feel like I'm peaking, and then it goes, you're like, damn, that sucks. And then now, like going forward, so many people listening to this are probably in the situation that you're in with like your local club team, trying to break out to the next step, trying to break into the professional level, or deciding if they want to go to college. I know this is a big question, but like, what advice would you have for the people listening in the similar setup or similar situation that you were in?
I feel like everyone says they want to be professional. Like, I have a bunch of friends when I was young, like, oh, I want to be pro, but they don't put the same amount of commitment into it as I did. Like, I was training 4 times a day. I was doing all this, but they're still out partying or not taking it seriously. So if you're really serious about it, you have to do the extra work. You have to train by yourself. You have to lose some friends. You have to not go to that party. You have to it's just a bunch of little things add up to the main things. So.
I always say it's it's like you not just like doing like a lot of people view it as like, oh yeah, for these 2 hours I'm going to train hard.
No.
It's like literally it has to be 24. It has to be your life,
Yeah,
like
you
your
have
lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. And you have to do that. You might think well, if someone asks you like, what are you doing to do pro? Like, I just trained 2 hours ago. Well, are you training tomorrow? Are you
Mhm.
training the next day? Are you training the next day after that? It's like you don't think that those trainings mean anything, but if you take them seriously and you're doing the right things on and off the field, then it'll build up. So
Yeah, like I even like one of the questions I don't hate getting, but it's like, how do you get the motivation to go out and train every day? I'm like, this, it's literally my life. Like,
yeah,
like you have to approach it of like, this is how it's going to be. I train every single day. I eat healthy for majority of the meals. You know, obviously you snack, you're not a robot. You can have fun,
yep.
but like 90% of your life has to be focused, centered around soccer. If you want your life to actually become soccer, you have to focus it around like that earlier.
Yep.
So that's good. And then now if you could go back in the past and talk to like younger Ciaran when he was at his low or any time throughout your whole life, when would you go back and what would you say?
Wow, that's a good question.
What do you think? This is the Against All Odds podcast.
When would I go back? I'd probably go back to when, oh my gosh, I can't even think of like what would be like a crucial moment of my life.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have taken sporting a little bit more seriously. Like I was serious on some days, but then some days I would just like not be all there, you know. So I'd probably go back then and tell myself to like just laser focus every single day like I am right now. And then I feel like I could have improved a little bit more. Like I already improved immensely from going from TSC to sporting, but I feel like there's even more room to grow. So
like everything that you're saying of every single pass,
yeah, like
focusing on that.
If you go into the session and you're comfortable, like we always bring that up, like, are you comfortable? You shouldn't be. Like just laser focus, like what am I doing right now? Quick feet, quick feet, quick feet. This pass, sit into it, make it clean. If it's not clean, the next one has to be clean. Just like little stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think I would pay attention to.
No, that's good. That's really good. Because it is true. I mean, it's so easy, especially like as a pro, even now, like you can go in passing combinations, the bobbly passes, unclean touches.
Yep.
And you literally like, I like it when people are like, come on. Like, and I'm like, I know I messed up. Obviously, you know it was a bad pass.
Yep.
But it's even extra external and internal to be like, you need to focus. Like the next one better be good.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't want to be the guy who's messing up the passing pattern.
Yeah, you don't.
That's really good. And then anything else you want to talk about on the podcast?
No.
Covered everything? There's nothing I didn't cover?
Just about my whole life. So
yeah, that was good. I just don't want to miss anything. So it's a good story. Actually, before we end it, this will be good too. Looking forward now, because I mean, this is like your first pro contract.
Yep.
Looking forward now, what's going through your mind in terms of like 5-year plan or whatever?
Oh man,
it's hard to plan. And this is what I always tell the players. Like I always think it's impossible to plan the actual steps.
Yeah.
Because I think the best thing you can do is focus on now, perform now, and then the next steps will kind of lay themselves out in front of you.
Yep.
But what's just going through your head looking forward 5 years? Even 10 years, 19. Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, I want to play at the highest level possible. I'm playing at a pretty high level right now for 19, and I'm playing in games. I feel like if I can get to the MLS, like that's the next step. If I can go to Europe somewhere and play first or second division, that'll be the next one. So like 5 years, I feel like I'll be in towards the prime of my career.
I don't even think you will be there yet. Like I think you'll still 24. You still have another 5 years until I think you really. I think people reach the prime at like 28. I feel like I'm in the prime of my career right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. Oops.
Yeah. No. I just the highest level possible is what I'm shooting for, whatever that is. But I would love something that I do want to say, or for me, is like my career. I want to play. Something that's always like stuck to me is I want to play in front of as many fans as possible.
Yeah.
And that kind of correlates the highest level possible. But I just love having a huge crowd and like not being able to hear anything and like chanting and all that. I just love that. So if I could play somewhere which had like some loco fans, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Tulsa has some pretty crazy fans.
Tulsa fans are, I mean, the difference between 2019 and now, it's absolutely amazing. Like I was getting goosebumps like after the game and like
Yeah.
looking at the supporter section this last game.
It's so fun.
It's amazing. Yeah, no. So that was the biggest crowd you played in front of. I mean, you've only played in front of those two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I played against Cincinnati. It was like 27,000 or something. Like I'm that again,
Yeah,
like what you
no.
said, that's the best feeling. Playing
Yeah.
in front of the most people.
Yeah. No, that's what I want. I want to play in front of a lot of people.
Yeah. Cause it is like you feel just like you're like, I never want to say like, oh wow, I made it, but you're like
You feel like you have
27,000 fans. Like it was
Yeah.
one of the best moments of my life for
Yeah.
sure. It was pretty cool. And I think I'm similar. It's always like play at the highest level possible, but like I've always big on like number of fans and then just how professional the environment is, you
Yeah.
know? That's more important to me even than like money or other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Then we'll wrap it up. Then anything else? Last thing?
Good for me.
All right, cool. All right, shout out toppers, top lads.
Shout out. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Against All Odds podcast with Ciaran Winters. All his social media stuff will be in the description. You got a TikTok?
No.
Yeah, no.
I don't post.
You don't post. So just Instagram, Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter, yeah.
Okay, so those two things will be in the description. Go check him out. Go hit him up if you have any questions or anything. He'll respond, hopefully.
I respond.
Yeah, Ciaran responds. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Later.